tell you a story about my childhood. I was raised in Switzerland, in Geneva. And when I was 8 years old, my mom took me to one of our local theaters to watch The Empire Strikes Back, which, of course, was dubbed in French, and it was called L'Empire contre-attaque. This was a huge deal for me as a kid. I mean, I was very much a Star Wars fan. I had never actually seen the original Star Wars film, but I had all the toys. And so during the, now iconic, climactic reveal, that of course we all know, right? Luke, I am your father. I have this incredible memory of just standing up in the middle of the theater, completely, utterly confused about what was going on, right? And so I'm turning to my mom, who is, she's sitting right here next to me. Of course, she didn't have the answers, right? And that was it. 10 minutes later, the lights come up, and you walk out of the theater, mind completely blown, right? From the single most extraordinary, transformative, cinematic experience of your entire life. And what do you do when you're 8 years old and you have to wait 3 years for the next Star Wars movie? I mean, that's like half of my life at this point, right? So, well, what you do is you go home and you pick up your toys and you start playing, speculating, thinking about, what that next Star Wars movie is going to be. And that's the great gift that George gave us. He gave us the toys, okay? It made us very hands-on, okay? We were essentially playing in George's sandbox. Since that day, I think it's safe to say that I was raised, without knowing it, as a pop culture geek. And here I am now, 30 years later, on stage at the Alley, standing before you, still very much a pop culture geek, okay? But you know what? I'm okay with it. I've sort of embraced that, and in fact, I am proud of this. You see, I found a way to turn this passion of mine into a career. I've been documenting pop culture now for the past decade, and I'm here to tell you that this stuff really, really matters. Okay? All right, well, let's take a little step back and see if we can actually define what pop culture is. Okay, so I've got a few images for you. All right, so this is a World War II soldier. No, absolutely not pop culture. Okay, so now, stormtrooper, yes, okay, that is most definitely pop culture. Zombie stormtrooper, way pop culture. Okay. You're getting this. Okay, let's do a few more, and it's going to get trickier, okay? A cute little kitten. Well, I mean, it's cute, yeah, sure, but it's certainly not pop culture in and of itself, right? Now, for that kitten to become pop culture, it would have to, for instance, get on YouTube, right? Go viral and become a meme like Grumpy Cat. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about, okay? Now, you guys know, of course, that Grumpy Cat just got a Hollywood deal, and so we're gonna see a Grumpy Cat movie in the next couple of years. So, yay! How exciting is that? Mitt Romney, ladies and gentlemen. Well, again, politician, presidential candidate. Doesn't matter how you look at him. You certainly don't associate him with pop culture until Mitt Romney talks about binders full of women. Now he becomes pop culture. Okay, you're starting to get a hang of this, I think. So we're just going to do one more just for the hell of it. Okay? I love this guy. Kim Jong-un. Okay? But no, he's not pop culture. In fact, he's really not funny. I mean, if you think about it, he is very unfunny until you pair him with his now BFF, Dennis Rodman. Okay? And that is absolutely pop culture. Okay, so in other words, on the one hand, we have the important things in life, right? Like politics, religion, social issues, cultural values and beliefs. And then on the other hand, we have the fluff, right? The stuff that, goes viral, that we consume by the billions, and that we just kind of dismiss as trivial and unimportant. And a lot of that turns out to be pop culture. Well, as a self-professed pop culture geek, I get offended by that. And, like when people tell me to my face that Star Wars is just a movie, for instance. It gets me, okay? Because it's the easy argument. Of course you can say Star Wars is only a movie. But look, Star Wars changed culture. It changed the way we watch movies. It changed the movie industry, changed technology, changed the toy industry. Okay? Can you spend a day nowadays without seeing or being exposed to any kind of Star Wars reference? You can absolutely make the argument, the counter-argument, that Star Wars changed the world. Okay? So let's see if we can look at things perhaps a little bit differently, maybe shift our perception. Okay? And I want to go back to these important things in life, because they are important, and I'm not trying to trivialize them. But look, politics divide us. Religion divides us. Social issues divide us. Cultural beliefs and values divide us. Now let's take a look at this.
Oppan Gangnam Style. Gangnam Style. Oppan Gangnam Style. Gangnam Style.
Okay. Case in point. If you guys were expecting me to do the dance here on stage, I'm sorry. All right. The old Genesis song, I Can't Dance, that's me. So, not going to happen. But in any case, this gentleman, Psy, for a couple of months, of course, he was all over the news. He was everywhere, okay? And he made us smile. And really, in doing that, he actually brought us together, okay? So why are we so ready and willing to dismiss him as trivial? What about Paul the Psychic Octopus? Okay, do you guys know Paul? Do you remember Paul? Yeah, there you go. Paul's my buddy, actually. I met Paul, I actually shook his tentacle. True story. No, true story. I actually made a movie about the guy. So, anyway, Paul, to refresh your memory, correctly predicted the outcome of 8 consecutive games during the 2010 Soccer World Cup. Okay, and he brought a lot of joy to, soccer fans around the world. And he made us think, actually. He made us think, okay? So what about zombies, okay? Now, look, guys, if you remember, if you were here in Denver last year, during the zombie crawl, we had 17,000 zombies on the 16th Street Mall, okay? Absolute world record. And apparently some of them got lost, I think. So this makes me ask, I ask myself a lot of questions, right? Can we really say that Psy doesn't matter when close to 2 billion people downloaded his Gangnam Style video on YouTube? I think about comic books. I'm a huge fan of comics, And why did it take, decades for comics to be recognized as a legitimate art form? Why did we have to wait for the Library of Congress to induct Star Wars into the National Film Registry in 1988 to be able to officially say, yes, this movie matters to us? When we knew, of course, back then, that it did. Of course it mattered to us. The crux of the issue is this. Why must we be so serious about what divides us and trivialize what brings us together? I mean, surely we must know as humans that anytime a wall collapses between us, we're better off because of it, right? So let's try this one more time. What is pop culture? I'm going to tell you. Pop culture is a universal language that manages in all of its seemingly trivial glory to make us dream and smile, to connect us across racial, political, and social divides. It is part of our fabric as human beings. It says something about us, about our better nature. And so isn't it time for us to respect it, cherish it, and learn to preserve it? I say this with great urgency because I also happen to be a massive, massive film buff. And it is such a tragedy to think that we have lost forever over 90% of all American films made prior to 1929. We have lost, and my voice is going to crack when I say this, we have lost over 50% of our cinematic heritage prior to 1950. I mean, these are staggering, horrifying stats. Do we want this to happen to our popular culture? I think not. Well, the good news is there are a lot of people who are working, I think, right now in the right direction. There's this tiny little event you might have heard of in San Diego called the San Diego Comic-Con. Yeah. Yes, thank you. We have about 200,000 geeks, right, who congregate every year, every month of July in San Diego. And trust me, it is a thing of beauty. And you better believe I'm going to be there next month, okay? So, but look, we don't have to travel all the way to San Diego to experience this. We have one right here in Denver. Okay? And just 2 weeks ago, we had our second Denver Comic-Con, and guess what? 61,000 people showed up. I think we can absolutely rival, San Diego. So the bottom line is I'm very optimistic. But it really starts with us kind of recognizing that our popular arts, our popular culture, they're not just guilty pleasures. It is something that truly matters to us, okay? And I'm going to tell you this one thing from a slightly outside perspective. As I've mentioned to you, I'm Swiss-French, even though I've been now in the US for 22 years, which is more than half my life. But I think the one thing that makes America so great to the rest of the world, above all else, is the fact that we are the first civilization in human history to have made fun important. And guys, we must never, ever, ever lose track of that. Okay? And when zombies look you in the eye and chase you off the stage, you have to run!